Yep, I lost somebody. I lost you,
Yeah, Tony, you got muted.
Tony. I lost Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I was done. Thank you.
Kelly, I
Yep, I lost
remember flying into Fort Worth Airport. This was in the 80s.
Meacham.
There was fog. The fog cleared as we were getting close to landing. And the first thing I saw was a Green Bay Packer bar. And I thought,
Well,
are we really in Fort Worth? I thought, what the heck is this?
and so we
And
pretty much every kind of bar down here.
and the first people we met, we were hungry. We went to this little diner, and on the sign on the blackboard it said chess pie, and we asked the woman there, I think she was the owner, what is chess pie? And she tried to describe it, and she said, oh, the heck with it, I'll just bake you one right now. We ran out. So the first person I met in Fort Worth baked us a pie, which I thought was phenomenal.
It's a pretty friendly town.
It was.
I mean, go talk about my growing up days. Gosh, I hated your Packers. We just could not beat them. The Cowboys could not beat them for a long time. Still can't, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
truth be told, I'm in the Chicago area, so I'm a Bears fan. So
Okay.
there's that rivalry too. But
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but when we're up here, we kind of change allegiance if the Bears are out of it, which they're usually out of the
been
playoffs.
often.
Packers are in.
Okay, well, we're going to get started here because it's a little after 10. So, welcome everybody to the Digital Forum group, where we're here to answer questions that you may have in photography. And today we have a nice, very interesting guest speaker, Kelly Jones, going to be talking about underwater photography. But first, let me just mention that in April next month, we have Gregory Holden talking about monochrome photography. And in May, we have Russell Graves talking about shooting wildlife images that win contests. So I'm always looking for, new ideas, new speakers. So, send them to me when you got it. Or if you have any topics that you would like us to talk about. We'll be glad to delve into it during our second hour, which is where we do our Q&A. So let's get started because I know Kelly's got a lot of interesting info and that. So today we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Kelly Jones, who wears many hats. Not only is he a mayor and business lawyer, but he also holds the title of PADI Certified Underwater Photography Instructor and Kelby 1 instructor. With 44 years of marital devotion and the joy of being a grandfather, he stands at the threshold of an exciting new chapter in his life. As he eases out of his legal and political careers, he enthusiastically looks forward to immersing himself in two great passions, underwater photography and the precious moments shared with his grandsons. Fresh from completing an underwater course, underwater photography course for Kelby 1, he brings with him a wealth of insight that he's eager to share with us. In today's presentation, Kelly will show us the world of underwater photography, offering glimpses into his thoughts on recreational scuba diving, the awe-inspiring beauty of oceanic creatures, and the underwater cameras he has used. I found him from the Kelby 1 class that he taught, and I sent him an email, and then we talked on the phone, and he was willing to come, which was great because I find diving very interesting, and the underwater photography is very interesting. So here's Kelly. Let me just replace the spotlight. There he is. Welcome, Kelly.
Everyone. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Jeffrey. It's a very kind introduction. Jeffrey pretty much covered me right there. There's my lovely bride of almost 45 years. I am still a mayor. I'm still practicing business law. I'm a father. I'm a loving grandfather of we we have two sets of twin grandsons. Our daughter
Oh,
had a
wow.
set, and then our son's wife had a set. So we have two sets of twin grandsons. But you didn't want to hear about that. It was kind enough of Jeffrey to invite me. I love all types of photography. I shoot with my land camera, I shoot underwater, I shoot my drone. But when I love underwater photography because it combines two of my passions, photography and diving. And so what I thought I might do is start off, if I can share my screen here, start off with the 1 minute intro to the Kelby One class, which will kind of show you what this is all about, or the class was all about. And hopefully the conversation today is that I want to get you in the water with your camera. It's a beautiful, beautiful world down there. So many people don't see it. It's gorgeous. The animals are captivating. It's peaceful when you're diving because you don't hear anything. And it's just you and your thoughts and the beautiful animals that are down there. So let me see if I can do my share screen and we'll play this intro and then we'll just jump into it. And right now, while I'm saying it, mostly what I'm going to do is I'll be showing you things on my computer. So I won't be able to see you, but I want this to be a stop me anytime you have a question, anytime you want to interrupt, go off on a tangent, that's certainly fine. If I get back to the program, great. If I don't, that's okay too. But please feel free to interrupt me anytime that I might have possibly said something of interest. So let's see if I can share my screen here.
Yep. Go ahead and
There's
anybody just put your questions in the Q&A.
your screen.
And yeah,
Okay.
don't forget to click sound and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Yep, we can hear it.
Hello, I'm Kelly Jones for Kelby One. I'm a certified underwater photography instructor. We're here on location in San Pedro, Belize. We're at Chuck and Robbie's dive shop. Yesterday they took us to Mermaid's Lair, a beautiful dive site. We got some great photographs, got some great sharks as soon as we got in the water. We got some horse-eyed jacks that I love, all kinds of different animals to see. Have you ever wanted to be an underwater photographer? Have you ever wanted to get in the water and capture all that beautiful marine life that lives under the sea that most people never see? Here's your chance to learn how to do it. So we're going to get you in the water. We're going to show you some compositional techniques. We're going to show you lights, when to use lights, when not to use lights. We're going to teach what cameras to use, some underwater photography rules to break. We're going to have a great time. You will be an underwater photographer when you finish this class. And what's the whole objective of being an underwater photographer? To impress your friends, of course. I worked hard putting this class together for you. Let's go do it. So come join me for my latest class on KelbyOne.com.
That's what got me hooked.
Well, diving, just a couple things about diving before I just show you an array of animals to hopefully whet your appetite about why you want to get in the water. Diving, I didn't start diving until probably 10 years ago. I just never had any interest in it. I was afraid of it. I figured there wasn't a bar in the middle of the ocean, so I just didn't have a whole lot of interest in it. But my wife's sister and her husband live in St. Croix, and we went down there. We went down there, and they said, "Do you want to go dive?" I go, "No." Well, we're okay. We're going to go diving in the morning then. I was so afraid I couldn't sleep. Literally, I could not sleep. I was afraid, and I took to it instantly. And it's one of the regrets of my life that I didn't start diving until I was 60 years old. Diving again, we'll talk about the prettiness and the beauty of it in a minute, but it's incredibly safe. There are some rules that you will learn in your certification classes, but so long as you follow the rules, it's an incredibly safe thing. And the danger in diving is the longer you dive, the more nitrogen builds up in your body. And so you have to dissipate that nitrogen. And one way you do it is you follow certain schedules, and it's not complicated, but you don't dive for too long. You don't dive at a depth longer than you need to. So you do what's called a decompression dive. This is too much information. But the point is that just follow some very elementary rules, and it's an incredibly safe thing to do. Sharks. No, sharks don't bite divers. It's documented over and over and over again that almost all shark bites are at the surface where a shark mistakes a human for a seal. And attacks on divers in the water, maybe they don't like aluminum tanks or something, but attacks on divers by sharks are extremely rare. It's just a marvelous thing to do. I urge you to do it. I know some divers that I see down in Brazil, in Belize, that are from the Chicago area and from Wisconsin. So I just urge you to do it. And there's any number of places in the Caribbean where the diving is phenomenal. I don't think it gets any better than Cozumel. And I know here at DFW you can fly directly into Cozumel. But Cozumel is fabulous. Grand Cayman is not a little more expensive, but there are some marvelous places to dive, and I just urge you to do that. So right now, I thought let me share my screen again and just show you some animals, and we'll just run through some of these fish that I've seen and photograph, and hopefully it will whet your appetite, and then we'll go from there. So let's see if I can share my screen again.
Okay.
And we'll get rid of that. Maybe. Okay, where did I have this? I tried to load these into Lightroom today, but they're all over the place, different files. So that didn't work very well. Okay, I got them here. Kilby one. Well, actually, I got it right here, digital form file. That's what I want. Okay. Okay.
Yep, we see a shark.
Okay. That I actually took that shot. That's a Caribbean reef shark. That's my favorite underwater. That's my favorite shark shot of a reef shark. And I took that literally within 2 minutes of the dive that we shot for the KLB1 class. They were right at the surface, and bingo. I mean, I edited it on the class. Jeffrey, I don't know if you saw the class or not. I edited this photograph in the KLB1 class. I didn't really have to do anything with it. Sometimes you just get lucky and it comes out fine. That's a four-eyed butterfly fish. They're pretty common in the Caribbean. It's called four eyes. You really can't see it very well on this one. I like front shots on fish. They're hard to capture. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see it's got an eye, and it's got this black spot on the back. So that's why they're called four-eyed butterfly fish. I mean, and he's about the size of, I'm holding my hands together, maybe 4 inches long, something like that. That's a hawksbill turtle. Turtles are just fun to photograph because they just don't care. They're not bothered by humans at all. And sometimes it's like they're putting on a show. They'll spin around for you and slow down and swim beside you. Turtles are always fun and always special. That's a different kind of turtle. That's a larger turtle. It's called a loggerhead. You can see these guys are prettier. Again, hawksbill turtle. They're a little prettier. These guys are bigger, older. You can see the barnacles on his shell. A little bigger turtle. Dolphins. I forgot what baby dolphins are called, but this is a mama and a cub, I think. Now, a quick story about this, and we'll get into this when I talk about my cameras that I used. Over the course of my career, if you will, I've used 3 cameras. I've used a GoPro, I've used a Sea Life, and I've used my current Nikon Z6 II. This was shot with the Sea Life DC2000, the camera no longer made. I loved the camera. The efficiency in the camera, and one of the advantages I have with the Nikon is that to shoot in RAW with the DC, the buffer was so long you could only get a shot every 3 or 4 seconds. So when these dolphins came by, I just had to guess. And fortunately, I got pretty lucky. If I'd had the ability to shoot repetitively, yeah, I probably could have gotten a little smoother back here. The dolphin might have looked a little better as it swam by, but still, it's very, very pleased with that shot. This is a nurse shark swimming right at me. Nurse sharks are like the puppy dogs of the ocean. I mean, they're a shark, but they're not the same type as a Caribbean reef shark. These guys are friendly. When they follow divers around, they'll let you pet them on the nose. It takes a while to get the nerve to do it, but they like to be petted on their nose. And animals are smarter than you think they are. Lots of times, I mean, it almost happens every dive trip, once or twice, where I'll see something in a little cove or something, a little cranny type of thing where I've got some small that I'm really focusing on. These guys will just come up and lie in front of me, blocking me from shooting what I was doing. You go, come on. And so I'll pet them on their nose for 10 or 15 seconds and I'll pop them in the belly and go, get out of here. So that's a spotted cleaner shrimp. This guy's tiny. He might be half an inch long at the largest. What's neat about these guys is they're translucent. I mean, they're clear bodies with the bright colors on them. This is my all-time favorite, maybe my all-time favorite photograph. This is a freshwater cenote near Tulum, and they are freshwater caves that are about, maybe a mile from the ocean. And this one's called the Pit. It's a very famous cenote called the Pit. And we were going to dive it the last of the 3 cenote dives we were doing that day. But as we were driving by it to go to the other one, our dive master, which is him up here with 2 tanks, said, we're diving it right now. And I went, why? He goes, look at the sun. So we did about a 45-minute dive, and the sun rays were coming straight down, reflecting straight down. But there was 8 of us on this dive. It's my buddy Julian who lives in Cancun. My son was over here. My sister-in-law and her husband were over here, and this guy was actually behind us. These are real live caves, so people can die in there if you leave the rope. And again, it's super safe if you follow the rules. But so I saw the shot. Well, I'm proud of myself because I actually saw a shot. And so this guy was behind me. He was trailing the group, lead dive master here, trailing guys. So I motioned to him to go around me, and then I shot the silhouette. So yeah, there's a story behind that photograph, and it's one that I just love. Yellowhead jawfish. This guy, he's about 3 inches long. If we have time, I'll talk about how sometimes you just have to wait things out. You got to wait for them to adjust to your presence and let them get back into their natural habitat, what they do. So there you go. That's just some things that maybe, hopefully, will get your interest in underwater photography.
Okay, we got a couple questions.
You bet.
Yeah, Eric Nelson is asking, are there techniques or tips which help with underwater color rendition? He uses a simple Pentax Optio WG3 underwater digital camera.
Excellent question. This is something that non-divers wouldn't understand or would not know, and so it's hard to visualize because your eyes fool you. As you descend in the water, the color spectrum changes, and you lose the reds and the greens, and everything gets all blue and gray. If you shoot photographs at 100 feet down without lights, without red filters, it's going to look all blue and gray. So what do? You bring color back in, and you've got to do it in the water. You can't do it in post. You can't do it. So I've done it all different ways. I've used video lights on what's called a tray. It's where your camera's mounted in the middle and you hold it like that with video lights out there. I've shot without lights. Now with my bigger rig, I use strobes with flash. But when I was using my GoPro, and we'll get into this now, don't go buy a camera rig. Buy a housing for your smartphone. That's how you want to get into diving nowadays. Wasn't available when I started. But red filters. Now, I don't know about your camera or what type of underwater housing you would use with that camera, but for a GoPro, for any type of camera, you want to put a red filter on it, and there's different types, different depths, or different what's the extent of red as you go into the water. After about 15 feet, you use a light red filter. You get down about 50, 60 feet, then you'll use a dark red filter. So red filters or camera settings. Some cameras, the Sea Life did, because that's a housing and a camera made for the water. With the Sea Life, you can set it to underwater dive, which will add the color back in for you inside the camera, or with lights to bring back your color. So excellent question.
Great. Yeah. Roger Krill is asking, I would think that most photography is done in the first 33 feet for the colors, and so that you don't have to worry as much about decompression stops.
Not necessarily true. There's a myth that as you go deeper, you see more things. That's not true. Most of the fish that we see dive or live 10, 20 feet down to 100 feet. But I've been as deep as 156 feet before. It gets dark down there, but again, your eyes trick you. Your eyes adjust. Your eyes put the color back in that's not there. Your camera doesn't do that. Your camera it doesn't think about it. It just captures it. Yeah, I mean, I've had some fabulous dives at 30 feet. Now, one of the advantages, the shallower you dive, the less air you use, and it doubles every 30 feet. At 60 feet, you're using twice as much air as you are at 30 feet. So, there are some advantages to diving shallower. Your dive will last longer. Running the risk of decompression is very unlikely. I mean, nowadays most people wear a computer on their wrist that ties in with their air tank and regulates their air, how long they've been underwater, and tells you how much nitrogen is building up in your body. So again, planning, and there's a thing called safety stop. Every dive has a 3-minute safety stop at 15 feet. It's just what you do to ensure that the nitrogen goes away. But no, some of these images we'll see, I've shot at 100 feet, but I'd say probably most of them are 50 feet or so.
Okay, yeah. Eric Nelson is asking, have you noticed any climate degradation since you have started diving and photographing under the surface? Do you think there is any potential for exploring a subject matter series on plastics, bleaching of coral, etc.?
I mean, that's way over my head. I do most of my diving in San Pedro, Belize. I've noticed there that the water is, and maybe it's just my timing, seems to be growing a little murkier, less clear. There's several things that affect clarity. Water runoff is a big one. Storms can cause cloudiness of the water. The reefs come and go. I mean, I'm not sure the reefs are as fragile as some people say they are. I mean, people who know, but just from a casual observer like me, in San Pedro, the reefs were looking very bleached about 7 years ago. Now they look much healthier. The other place I like to dive is Cozumel. I mentioned earlier. Cozumel, what makes Cozumel so great for diving, number one, is the Mexican government, unlike the Belizean government, has protected the waters. For 6 miles out and 6 miles south of Cozumel is protected waters, no fishing. And so the other thing Cozumel has, it has a strong current all the time, running usually from north to south, sometimes it reverses, that keeps the water clear. It keeps the debris out. It just keeps, and it refreshes the reef and refreshes the fish. That's probably a long way of saying, I don't notice it diving. On the coastline of Belize, sometimes I see junk on the wall, junk that washes up that disappoints me. But I really don't notice it in the water. I can't say that I noticed the water temperature changing. I mean, obviously it changes in Belize. Sometimes it'll be 86 degrees and I can just swim in a swimsuit, what's called a rash guard, a plastic t-shirt, polyester t-shirt. Other times it'll be it'll be 76 and I'll be wearing a thick wetsuit and cold. So that's a long way of saying I really can't say that I notice the difference.
Okay, yeah. And Eric just came back with saying his Pentax allows for auxiliary filters, so he's going to try that out next time he goes.
Yeah, you definitely a red filter or lights, and don't use them together. Don't use them together because both of them restore the color, and you don't want to do it twice. So that's one thing that I did when I used my GoPro and also the Sea Life is. And now I don't do it because I use strobes, but I'd always forget. I would come back and go, "This looks like crap." Well, I forgot to take off the red filter when I shoot with lights. So don't do both.
All right. Well, we've caught up on the questions, so
Let me go back and show you something here. And the
Sure.
point of this is that I'm going to show you a series of photographs and get you to, in your minds or out loud if you'd like, you'll tell me what camera I shot it with. Did I shoot it with the GoPro? And then I use an old GoPro. I mean, this was a GoPro 3 Plus and a GoPro 5 10 years ago. And then the Sea Life DC 2000 and then the Nikon they've been using for the last year or so. So the point is you can take great photographs with any camera. So let me show this to you here. Okay, share. Now we've done that. Where would this be here? Which camera? Okay, so, yep. Okay, which camera is that shot with? That is a permit fish here and a beautiful, beautiful what they call eagle ray, spotted eagle ray, and they're just the pattern in these guys is phenomenal. This is shot with the Sea Life. The Sea Life is a sealed camera. It's got a housing on it. It's like I said, you can shoot JPEG or RAW. It's about a 20 megapixel camera. Really, really great underwater camera. That's shot with a GoPro. That's a orange finned what's it called? Orange fin fish. That shot in Palau. Oncoming turtle. This was shot with a GoPro. Hawksbill turtle. This guy, from 50 yards, I saw him coming at me, and he never turned. And he came right with 2 feet of me and showed me his belly and went right over me. I mean, just like, really? That's shot with the GoPro. That's a jellyfish. There's a place in Palau called Jellyfish Lake, and there are millions of these things. And it takes a while. Genetically, they've lost their stingers over who knows how many thousands of years. And it takes a while to actually start touching them. But once you do realize these guys aren't going to sting you, they are everywhere. Again,
wow.
The point is they're shot with a GoPro. That's the Sea Life. That's a what's it called? It's a crab. What's a yellow line arrow crab? Yellow line arrow crab is that called. Well, that's a Sea Life. You saw that photograph. This was shot with the GoPro. Actually, that was shot in video with the GoPro, and I pulled this out of the video, turned into a still. Oop. That's shot with the I think that's shot with the Sea Life. Sea Life. That's shot with the Nikon. I think that's with the Nikon also. So again, the point is that who would know which camera I shot these with? Certainly the Nikon gives me more flexibility, but just for a beginner, that it really doesn't matter. And the point I wanted to make earlier is that when I first started shooting photography, I mean, I guess there were iPhones. Well, actually, I know there were iPhones because I left one in my wetsuit one time, and
that didn't do it too much good.
No,
New ones today, you can get away with that.
Well, not to the depth that I go.
Yeah, that's true.
But a company, Sea Life, now makes a housing for your iPhone called a Sport Diver, and they also make it for the Samsungs. And, with the rapid development of smartphone cameras, unquestionably, unless somebody gets serious about underwater photography, that is the way to go. Get one of I think the housing for it is $350, and now you can use your smartphone and take it down there and
Wow.
shoot. And it has the red filters on it. Yeah, but it's called the smartphone housings. Yeah. See, yeah, what's it called? I just said a second ago. Well, whatever. It's a housing by Sea Life for cameras for
Okay.
your
Yeah.
phones.
No, that's a lot nicer than what they used to have when I
Oh my
know I used
goodness.
to rent Nikonos 4 cameras, and they did not have underwater housings for cameras were really expensive back then.
Well, oh, they are. I mean, you get expensive. You get serious about it. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember when the first workshop I went to with Scott Kelby was in Paris, and this was 5 years ago. And I remember where we were. We're on a bridge, and we're talking about the iPhones. He goes, "It's all over. As soon as Apple comes out with a 10 times zoom, it's over." And pretty much it already is. I mean, Nikon, Canon, none of those guys make entry level, mirrorless anymore. It's all upper end stuff because
Yeah.
the smartphones have usurped it.
Yeah. It's really amazing what's happened. I tell a lot of people, you know, if they're looking to get into photography, just do it with your phone because you're going to get better shots with that than if you try to learn how to use a fancy system, especially a couple of weeks before you go on a trip. So,
It hit me. I was on a dive trip in Cozumel, and it was a full moon, and I was playing with I don't know what I had, probably my old Nikon D850 at the time. And I was playing with all my settings, trying to get the full moon over that pool. And I was just struggling with it. I thought, I'm just going to take one with my iPhone. Took the shot and went, "Are you serious? I mean,
yeah.
come on."
I
It,
know.
it looked fabulous, fabulous. And I
Yep.
mean, right out of the phone before I even did any editing on it. So who knows? But yeah, anyway. Yeah, I would definitely want to get the housing uh, for your smartphone.
Sure. Tony, you had a question?
Yes, you're talking about smartphones versus cameras. When we were in Disney World at the Pandora display, we're walking along in these tunnels and stuff, and there was kind of gray moss on the walls, moss looking stuff. I took some pictures with my camera, and that just showed gray moss. Took them with my iPhone, and the colors that came out were just surprising. Um, it was amazing. The
It's called computational photography. You guys probably heard that term. It's called computational photography, and all the technology in the smartphone photography, it adjusts everything. It's like a super JPEG, and it's astonishing. It's astonishing.
Yeah.
Um, Amazing.
Yeah.
And
It's,
and I don't know how many of you guys are Kelby One members, but they just had a conference, a 2-day conference on using your smartphone. And I learn all this stuff and I forget it, but there's so many things you can do on your iPhone that you don't know until you take the lessons and learn what you can do with it. And again, I forget, but it's astounding what you can do with your iPhone.
yeah, I took his conference after you recommended it. I right away ended up signing up for it, and I've only watched parts of it, and I got to watch some more because a few things I watched, just amazing what you can do with the phone these days. It's the
It
iPhone is just crazy.
it really is. I mean, Kelby has taken trips with just his phone, and the
Yeah.
photographs are amazing. There's things that going to need your mirrorless or DSLR to do, neutral density stuff, long term. I mean, all the different kinds of things that we can do with our advanced cameras. But still, for walking around day to day, it's hard to beat your
Yep.
eye if you know how to
Yep.
use it. And that's the important thing. What's the best camera? The one you know how to use.
Yep. And it's the one that you carry with you all the time.
That's right. The one you have.
Yep. Eric is asking, what are some of the key suggestions for etiquette for joining a group dive?
I don't know if there are any. I mean, I don't want to be simplistic, but sign up, sign up. Yeah, diving, people in diving are extremely friendly. It's a great group of people. There's always a couple curmudgeons, but divers are friendly. They're eager to share experiences. Uh, just go someplace and find a dive shop and sign up. And dive masters are incredibly always helpful and courteous and accommodating and encouraging. So just sign up. And if you go to Cozumel or San Pedro Belize, I can certainly give you some recommendations. But just go. I mean, that's just go. And when I first went to my first trip to Cozumel, I just went. I didn't know anybody, and just get after it is what I'd say. And there's some things you'll learn on the boat. I mean, you don't put your crap all over the place and get in people's way, and you know where to sit and stuff. But no, I mean it's easy stuff. Nothing that should be intimidating about it at all.
Sure. Eric's also asking concerning travel to other countries with camera gear. What types of luggage do you use, and what is a typical assortment of what you would bring?
Excellent question. When I go diving, when I go to a different place, and I've got a big bag. It's made by a company called Osprey, and it's for dive gear, and it weighs right about 47 pounds under that 50 pound limit, and it's got all my stuff. It's got my fins. It's got my buoyancy control device, BCD, which is what you wear, which has inflatable areas in it that where you can go up or down depending on how much air you have in it. I take that. I take my mask. I take my regulator, which is what you breathe through, that converts the oxygen that's in the tank into something, or actually the air, not oxygen, the air in the tank into something you can breathe with. Take my dive computer, which is small. Take my wetsuit. What else takes some space? But yeah, all my dive gear. And I don't take weights, and I don't take tanks. I'll have those on the boat for you. And then I take a swimsuit and just a little bit of clothes. But yeah, no, but as cameras, I've never had any issue with cameras or with dive gear whatsoever. I mean, just never have, because the places you go to are tourist friendly for divers. Now, I've heard the story that if you take semi-professional level gear, upper level enthusiast type of gear, cameras, that you should have receipts for it to show that you own it. You're not bringing it into the country. I've never had an issue whatsoever. The only thing I would say is make sure if you take a drone, make sure you check the country's drone laws. Belize, for instance, does not allow the use of drones by foreign nationals. I got a special permit for mine, but yeah. But anyway, yes. No, as far as cameras and gear on a dive trip, no worries.
Yeah, so carrying a housing and all that kind of stuff, you just pack it in a suitcase, I take it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I carry some of my stuff on. I carry my regulator on. I carry my mask on. Everything else,
Okay.
everything else that you can check it without any problem at all.
Yeah, because I know some of that stuff takes up some space.
Yeah, but I'll usually carry my cameras. I'll carry my cameras in my backpack.
Yeah,
But maybe my strobes or lights, housings. No, I'm not concerned about sending those and having them checked.
yeah.
Kelly,
No,
have you gotten into any or investigated getting into drone photography for underwater photography? I thought it would be interesting to have some videos of like Belize or Tulum area and have it go down from photograph the above and then go down into the water and photograph.
Yeah, I don't think we got that technology yet.
It's coming.
It's coming. There are I don't know what you call them. Yeah, there are underwater drones, but I don't know if they're available for consumers yet. And there are propulsion things that you can hold on to that'll pull you through the water. But yeah, I don't know of a drone that can go underwater. We were going to have some drone photography. Funny story here. We were going to have some drone photography of the dive. Actually, it was two dives. So the dives that we shot for Kelby, but the photographer borrowed my drone and wrecked it. So we couldn't didn't have a drone to take.
Yeah, I've seen some underwater drones, but I don't know. I don't think they work very well.
Yeah,
But
I don't think you can take your water your
yeah,
from
and I don't
air
think there
down
was
into
one that
water.
goes from air to water yet.
Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, you give them some time, they'll maybe figure that one out. But sort of a different water would be a different way that the props would have to move.
Um,
Um,
Not only that
com-
though, because your aerial drones all work off of GPS signals, and I'm
Yeah,
thinking
good point.
for sure, but
point.
I'm
yeah,
thinking water probably ain't gonna work so well.
yeah,
What I've
yeah.
always heard, if I mean I've come close, but if you crash your drone in the water, you know, get the drone. Drone's gonna be gone, but your memory card's still good. So go retrieve it.
Well,
Yeah,
if they can make drones for Mars atmosphere, I would think that they would be able, but I guess it's the change from the aerial to the water
I
that,
think that's probably right.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's two different types of direction of propulsion that you need. So
yeah.
um, I think that would be the problem because I think they could make a connection by Wi-Fi or some other electrical connection to get to control it.
Through the
But
water, through the density of water. I don't
yeah,
know. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure, but I know I've seen some things for
But
little toy subs that uh, are radio controlled, but I it certainly doesn't go very deep. Um,
This is way above my pay grade.
yeah, it's I yeah, I haven't even gotten into drones yet, so let alone getting into something like that.
Well, Jeffrey, I'll talk. I mean, I just got the new DJI Mini 4. Golly, I mean, they're like smartphones. They've gotten better and better and cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
No,
been
I get
doing-
tempted. We got Drumma here and Marty that do a ton of drone stuff, and I know there's quite a few others that are doing drone things, and um, they're certainly getting better. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet on one because I just know it's something I'd buy and use 3 or 4 times and may not pull out that often. So, um,
You got to
but
use it. You got to use it. Well, would you
yep,
guys like to see some compositional techniques? Where would you guys like
sure,
to go in the remaining 20 minutes or so?
yeah. Compositional stuff would be good.
Okay. Okay.
We don't have any more questions, so we're caught up.
Okay.
Jerry Hying did put in a link for the Sea Life cameras in the chat for everybody.
Great, great,
So,
great. Okay. Where do I want to go here? Get rid of that. Well, this is where I messed up by getting them into Lightroom. Okay. So let's do it this way. All right. What are the most important things?
okay, you haven't shared your screen though.
Okay, okay. I'll put it back
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Just yeah. Click the green button and
Trying to find the button here.
yeah. Usually it's near the center of the Zoom stuff.
bottom tool.
Yeah, bottom toolbar.
Well, see, it's just not responding. Sorry, guys. I'm not.
That's all right. Yeah, it happens sometimes. It's easy to lose zoom with all the stuff that you got going on. If
Yeah.
sometimes if you just can get back to the zoom window.
Okay. There I am. FaceTime.
So it should be the green button at the bottom,
Probably
bottom almost center.
just not there. Okay, hold on.
Oh, you might be seeing your other window. There's sometimes two windows. The one you need is the one where all of us are.
Jeffrey, I'm just not seeing anything but me.
Let me see if I change the view.
Oh, there we
Does
go.
that help?
There we go. Now I got it. Now I got it.
No.
Share screen. Okay. Share.
There
Now
we
you
go.
got me? Okay.
Yep.
Uh,
Sometimes it helps if I shift it to the gallery view for everybody.
One of the most important things about under computational or not computational photography, underwater photography is getting under your subject because typically you're photographing things that are below you. And so all the shots look the same. They're on the top of the fish. Probably the biggest compositional suggestion I could give you is to get under your subject. It's just so much more interesting. This is a nurse shark. That's a reef shark up there, but that's a nurse shark. That's a reef shark again, not completely under him, but still it's a whole different perspective than you get when you're on top of it. Here's that turtle again underneath him so you can see the bottom of his shell. Almost all turtle shots you see are of the pretty shell on the top, but this is more interesting. Again, that's a turtle on a dive, heading down. You don't see that shot of a turtle very often. Again, underneath the reef shark again, underneath this nurse shark coming at you, see his little teeth. See, he's just got little bitty teeth. They call them nurse sharks. They're called nurse sharks because they suck on mollusks and snails and things that are in the sand primarily. So that's why nurse sharks. This was excuse my language, a pissed off reef shark. He thought there was somebody. I don't know if you guys know about lionfish. Lionfish are a big problem in the Atlantic Ocean. It's a Pacific fish, but it was supposedly, the theory is, it was introduced by an aquarium in Miami that dumped them into the ocean, and they're very prolific. They have no known predators in the Atlantic. And it's a huge problem because they're voracious eaters and they've eaten all the little bitty fish that we like to see. Somebody on the dive had killed a lionfish. When it's weird. As soon as a lionfish is speared, then the sharks want it. So this shark, somebody had speared a lionfish and it had already been eaten by another shark. But this shark thought I had his lionfish and he wanted it. And so he came around 2 or 3 times. And, as he approached me this time, I said, if he opens his mouth, this camera rig's going in his mouth. But he finally got poked and went away. I didn't take this shot. I edited the shot. This is a manta ray. All manta rays, they're all unique. And they name them by how their patterns are. But a manta ray is a gorgeous, gorgeous fish. It's in the Pacific. Actually, it's in the Atlantic as well. Reputedly, they've been in Cozumel and in San Pedro, although I've never seen them. So that's one of the techniques, is getting underwater with your camera.
Wow.
Underneath the subject. We'll talk about lights. Any questions?
Yeah, we got a couple. How do you frame your compositions? I know he was asking like a speed graphic or a wire type frame on your camera, or are you just looking through the viewfinder or sports finder?
Well, yeah, I'm looking through the monitor on the back. The monitor on the back. You run it it's a Nikon with mirrorless. Yeah, you would shoot 100% with your monitor. You can't. I've shot through the viewfinder before. Of course, GoPro is all monitor. Sea Life is monitor as well. You'll shoot with a monitor because you've got it on this tray and you've holding it out in front of you to keep it still. That is probably the number one thing is to keep your camera still, just like on land. And when I first started shooting, I had the GoPro and had it out on a pole. Well, I had no chance get good sharp photographs. But yeah, you got to keep the camera still. So yeah, you shoot based on the monitor.
Okay. Mike McGill says, I have a friend who dives. He says the Caribbean is pretty good for viewing, photographing critters, but the Mediterranean is even better. Have you been there?
I've not. I've not. I've heard the Red Sea is phenomenal. Yeah, I've not heard that the Mediterranean was that good. Yeah, Red Sea is reputed to be one of the best places in the world. Palau, out in Micronesia, I guess I think we're 400, 600 miles away uh, from the Philippines. Is very good. Malaysia is supposed to be good. Hawaii is not good. Um, but and then the Keys are okay. The Keys are okay, but the Caribbean's pretty top notch. And all the way down, what do they call the Antilles and the Netherlands Antilles or whatever, they go all the way down near
Yeah.
Venezuela, are very good.
I would think that the Mediterranean doesn't have the coral reefs and such that
Yeah.
you see in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think of the Mediterranean as a deeper body of water that would not have those reefs. But again, I don't know. But I've never heard anybody say go dive the Mediterranean. I have heard go dive the Red Sea.
It is really clear. I've not dived in the Mediterranean, but I've been there around the ocean a lot, and I've always been surprised at the color of the water and how clear it is. I would have thought as a smaller body of water that it would have been more polluted than it is, but it's quite beautiful.
The Cozumel is bathroom clear. I mean, the first time I took my son diving, he had gotten certified in Lake Travis in Austin, and we're both about to jump off the back of the boat on either side of it. And he's going, Dad, I'll never see you again. I go, Jordan, just jump in the water, it'll be fine. And when he gets in the water, his eyes are like this, going, golly, I can see for hundreds of feet.
Have you
Yeah.
done any diving in the Sea of Cortez? There's some
No,
manta
I haven't.
rays that are pretty amazing when
Yeah,
they
I think the Sea of Cortez has big things, a lot of big things, big rays, as you mentioned. But I know I've not been there.
you need to plan a trip there. I've not done diving there, but I've done some snorkeling that's been pretty amazing.
I've got lots of places I need to go.
I spent several years. I learned to dive back. Oh my God, it was 50 years ago. I lived in Okinawa for almost 3 years, and that's where I learned to dive. Was certified through NAUI, and
Yep.
those were the days where it was before they had the dive computers.
Oh
And
yeah.
you threw a life vest on and put your regulator in and jumped off the boat and went with nothing on but your bathing suit and the regulator and the tank.
And did you have to learn those old Navy calculations for how much air you have and how long you should dive? Oh my God, it's so absurdly difficult. It takes a master's from MIT to understand that, which is now why dive computers make it so much better.
Yeah. It's amazing how far dive computers have come.
Oh, it's just astonishing. I mean, it's got so much information, and now you can customize them. I mean, this is just a watch, but you can customize them to display any number of different things. How long you've been down, what time it is, what the temperature, how much air you have left, your tissue percentage, how saturated you are getting on nitrogen. And I don't want to oversell this nitrogen deal because it's not that big a deal, but it's something you always want to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
How does it sense that? Do you wear some sort of sensor for
Well,
the
it's-
amount of nitrogen, or does it?
It's a
is it
transmitter. You have it sits on top of your tank. It's on the housing that goes into your tank. There's a transmitter there. It transmits to your dive computer.
But how does that tell you? You're talking about how much air is in your tank, right?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
talking about how it knows whether you need a dive stop or not. If it is there a way to sense how much nitrogen's in your body?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it shows that you set it to, and you learn to set it conservatively. You don't want to be aggressive on how you set your dive computer, but it tells you as your amount of no decompression time diminishes. It will tell you you're down to 2 minutes of no decompression time. If you go more than that, it'll say, sorry, now you got to do another safety stop before you start your regular safety stop. So, sometimes I've been down deep and I've had to do, 12 minutes of safety stops to safely dissipate the nitrogen.
But it's just it's not based on anything that's reading from your body, right? It's
No,
just
no,
based
no,
on
no.
your time down and your amount of air that you're breathing.
Exactly. It's how you set it for how you want to dive. Yes, it's not reading you.
I bet that's coming one of these days.
Yeah, probably.
I know the Apple Watch is starting to do a lot of stuff that is similar to that, but
I don't have one
I
of
don't
those
think
yet. My
it's,
wife does, but I don't have one of those.
yeah. I don't know how much I trust it for that kind of diving. I know mine is supposed to be good up to 100 feet and tell you all sorts of info, but I'm not sure I would trust it over a good dive computer if
But
I
you are
was
you
going
you,
to do
you
it.
are you are starting to see the Apple Watch enter into the diving arena.
Yeah, it's getting there. We've got Eric is asking about cleaning regimen. Do you use to preserve your dive and camera equipment after saltwater
Great,
diving?
great question. There's two things that I do before every dive trip. I'll take off all the O-rings on my housing, on my strobes, and take those little O-rings off, put some silicone on them, put them back on. That's very important to ensure a solid seal. Uh, on the dives, they'll have two buckets of water, one for cameras, one for masks. You don't want any detergent, or which you use to clean your mask, to defog your mask. You don't want any detergent in your cameras. But yes, cleaning your dive gear is very similar to cleaning your BC. The BC has got this air bladder in it, and over time, undoubtedly, you're gonna get some salt water in there. So with your BC, you'll get some water in there, shake it around, and empty your bladder. With the cameras, yes, you got to rinse them off, you got to soak them. Um, in our home in Belize, we got big tub, big tub that I'll fill with fresh water and soak it in there for several hours, and I'll push all the buttons to make sure that they continue to operate. But yeah, it's not. I mean, and that's this housing, my old Sea Life, my GoPro. I just wash them and be done with it. But yeah, you do need to protect your all your gear, your dive gear, and your cameras from salt water. Any dive operator, any decent dive operator is going to clean your gear for you after each dive. But yeah, you got to be careful with your cameras.
Yep, I know when I rented the Nikonos 4s and 5s, I'd get them back from dives and I'd have to spend quite a bit of time
Oh yeah.
cleaning those O-rings because none of the divers back, at least those renters, would never clean them and keep them good. And
Now
there you only had 36 shots, so
that sport diver, that housing, you wash it for 4 minutes and you're done.
yeah, yeah.
But you got you
No,
got
it's
you got to check those O-rings every dive trip.
yeah. It doesn't take. I mean, one speck of sand can mess you up
Yeah.
royally.
So Jeffrey,
Doesn't
you
take
were a
much.
diver back in your younger days too?
I did skin diving and rented a lot of equipment, so I never got to the scuba part. I was real close to being certified. It's just back then, for me, when I was going to be certified, it meant going into Lake Michigan, and that just is too cold of water for me. So I took all the courses up to getting certified because I
Well,
thought
there's
I'd do it.
wetsuits. I was certified a second time in the 90s in California, Northern California, and the waters there are tremendously cold. And I remember on our checkout dive, having snow in the mountains around us, and the water was so cold that we had to keep moving while we were waiting for the instructors
Yeah.
to have us perform for whatever we needed to do for the tests.
Yeah,
And it was
you
so
just,
cold. Cold
yeah,
water diving is interesting too.
oh, Lake Michigan has, I know, a lot of neat stuff
Yeah, so I've
down
heard.
there to dive for.
Quite a few
So,
shipwrecks, yeah.
yeah, I came close and I didn't have a buddy that I could go with, and it was hard to find friends at the time. I mean, you're talking the 70s and 80s, and it wasn't quite as popular then. It was a little more expensive, unless you were, going down to the Bahamas or something like that. And that's why I took the course as far as I did, because I thought I could get down to the Bahamas and get certified down there, but just never worked out.
One of my certification dives for my dive master training was at 58 degrees. Turn my phone off here. Was at 58 degrees, and I said, "Are y'all serious? Are we really going to do this?" And it was cold. It was cold.
It's quite an
Yep.
investment in the gear when you start getting into that.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know when you joined here. We were talking about dry suits. A wetsuit will cost you $250 to $400. A dry suit is a minimum of $2,000.
Yeah. See, and I was a young kid at 20 years old, didn't have a great job yet, and couldn't afford to buy all that kind of stuff.
We can
and
all
even
we can all
renting it.
relate to that. We can all relate to
Yep.
that.
But Menominee Falls actually has a dive place that I think it's still around, Underwater Connection, and that's where I took all my courses up to the point of getting certified. And yeah, they use the local swim pool and
Yep.
that for most of it. But yeah, and I think they're still around, so a person can still get it done.
So Kelly, do you have any freshwater diving pictures to show us other than the cenotes or cenotes in
Cenotes?
Mexico?
Let me think.
And what's your experience with freshwater diving? Because
Don't
that's
do
what
it.
we have around here. Sorry.
Don't do it. I don't think that I do. I think that other than my certification dives, I've tried to stay out of the lakes. Um, it just the clarity, the ocean is, from my experience and what I've observed, is more clear. There's more things to see. It's warmer. So no, answering your question, no, I don't think I've got any freshwater photographs. And the cenotes, there's hardly any fish in them at all. You're just seeing the magnificent structures of the cenotes, stalactites, stalagmites, but there's not. I mean, you might see little bitty fish, but there's really no sea life in those at all.
Hey Kelly, you have any challenges with focusing, like autofocus or whatever? Is there any challenges with underwater?
No, I'm trying to think how to answer it quick. No, I just, I've got back button focusing, and I don't. No, there's no trouble focusing. Of course, now your mirrorless cameras, have animal detection, and that helps tremendously. With the sea life. Sometimes shots weren't as clear as others, but really not a problem. But with the Nikon and with that, animal detection, if I take a shot of a whole bunch of fish, every eye is crystal clear. So
Wow.
it's Kelly proof, so anybody can do it.
Kenny Bowman's asking, do you do any photography of other things such as shipwrecks and that?
There are, yes, I've got some here that I could share with you if you care, but most or a lot of scuba destinations have a sunken ship in it. In Cozumel, it's called C44. I forgot what it's called. It's about 140-foot ship, as I recall, that was sunk. And that's not the word they use, but it was sunk right there off of the coast that you can dive through. And what they do is they cut big holes in the hull on different floors, so you're really in no danger. Wherever you go, you can see a way out. shipwreck, real shipwrecks, you better know what the heck you're doing because you get stuck in there. And like caves, it's probably not as bad on a ship, but in caves, in these cenotes, the ones that have been charted, there's a cord, a nylon cord that goes all through your route. And you do not leave that cord unless you really know what you're doing. Because what happens to divers is they go, well, I'm just going to go here and I'm going to turn left because I can get back. And then they turn right, and then all of a sudden it all looks the same and they can't get out. And that's what happens to people who don't know what they're doing. If you really know cave diving, what you'll do is you'll have another line and you'll set a point and you'll drag that line as you go off the chart. So you've got a way to get back. Also, cave diving doesn't last as long. Let's say on a regular dive, you have 3,000 pounds of air compressed in your tank. You start going to the surface when you get down to 700. On a underwater dive, if you have, excuse me, a cave dive, if you got 3,000 pounds of air, you start heading back when you have 2,000 left because you want to make sure you got enough air to get back and more. So that's what you do. Cave diving is beautiful as is ship diving, but you have to be careful.
One
But
of
yeah,
the scariest things
it's neat. The ship. I've dove the Japanese wrecks in Palau, and then the one in Cozumel. I mean, the one in Palau is very preserved. I mean, you can go down in the hull and you see all these airplane engines, from World War II, and you see beer bottles, and you see because nobody touches it. You don't mess with that wreck. It's just sacred ground. But yeah, wrecks are cool. Wrecks are cool, but it's kind of like for me, it's like night diving. I've dove 10 times and I'm kind of done.
I was going to ask you about night diving. That's the thing that scared me. The one time I went night diving was the scariest thing with diving, but I would think that would present particular problems for photography underwater if we were at night.
Well, I mean, I can show you a couple of photographs real quickly. Night diving, the first time I went night diving was an eye opener to me because, I didn't really know what to expect, and I thought it was going to be all black. Well, it is until you turn on your lights. As soon as you turn on your lights, it's like you're in a big swimming pool. You can see things. You can see 100 feet away, and you can
Do
see
you have
the
any photos?
Sure. Let me see what I can find real quickly here. Let's see here. I'm not on share screen now. Where's share screen? Share screen. Show captions. Share screen. Okay. Share. Let's see.
Get you to be a Zoom expert yet.
Oh, I'm not good at this. Well, let's go to Lightroom. Let's see. That's a crab. Excuse me, that's an octopus at night. Yeah, octopus are nocturnal. Octopus come out at night and they swim about and they're goofy looking things. I think I had a crab here. That's a crab. So you see different things at night. Just
Do you use the same lighting that you would during the day?
yes. Yeah, what I do is a lot of people use flashlights. I mean, well, you use flashlights under the water. That's two I can find real quickly for you. Spotlight. So let me. Yeah, you use flashlights. You use flashlights, and you tack everything underwater. Almost everything underwater is redundant. So you'll have one flashlight and you'll have a spare because if you dove, you know that you use signals. You use signals and things underwater. Well, at night you do it a different way. It's like instead of saying okay like this when you get in the water when you surface at underwater you do it like that to show it go around. So it's different type of signaling. But yeah, it's just different. It's really different, and um, and you can see people, you can see divers 100 feet away, and you see their lights flashing about. Under night diving is really an interesting phenomenon.
Oh, great. I think we've pretty much we got one more question here by Eric. How difficult is, oh man, body position awareness after a deeper dive or at night? He uses a word that I'm not familiar with, but
I don't know that body awareness. I'm not exactly sure I understand the question. Body awareness
yeah,
is different at night or during after going deeper. It's underwater photography. In one of the introductions to the Kelby One class, I tell people, yeah, I mean, my photographs are nice, but they're really just snapshots. And maybe that's not so bad because I help share what's underwater with the world, with my friends who will never experience it. Now, that shot in the pit with the water coming with the light refraction coming down, that's a good photograph. But most of them are snapshots. So I said, so a shooting is easier under the water, right? No, because there's no tripods. You've got to your subject's always moving. You got to hold that camera still. You got to position your body, and that goes back to basic dive skills of what's called neutrally buoyant. Everybody thinks you're weightless underwater. No, you're not. You're floating, but you still know where gravity is. So you've got to learn how to hold yourself still. Once you get 4 dives in, you'll have it down. You breathe in, you go up. You exhale, you go down. So you got to position your body where you can take that shot, and you're usually horizontal, you're usually prone. Maybe prone means you're on the ground, but you're horizontal. But I mean, body positioning. Sometimes I mean, if you notice in that intro, you saw me on the prone or horizontal along the surface, the ocean floor. Again, that's so I could get under the image, so I could shoot going up at the animal. But yeah, body positioning is, I mean, it's important, just like it is any type of photography. And it's challenging. It's challenging in the water because you're neutrally buoyant. You are not
yeah,
attached to anything. You're floating around.
yeah.
And you
Gotta
always
make
have
it
your bubbles
difficult.
as a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I don't know if you know it. I mean, Jimmy Buffett's last song is called "Bubbles Up," and it's about how when you lose your way, just follow your bubbles. So that's right, bubbles up.
Uh, well, great. Kelly, this has just been really fascinating. Uh, it's always interesting. It's a new subject for our group, so I think everybody hopefully got a good taste of it. And if they want to see more, definitely check out Kelby One and Kelly's underwater course. I'm halfway through it, and I got interrupted on it because of the Lightroom iPhone class that came up, and I got to get back to seeing the end of your course. But it was interesting enough to me that I gave him a call. So
Well, I've appreciated. I mean, I've enjoyed this greatly. I love to talk photography. I love to talk underwater photography. If I could end with this, I would urge each of you, and it's expensive to save up your pennies, but if you ever have the chance to go on a Kelby workshop, a Scott Kelby workshop, to the various places they go, I've been to Paris and I've been to Prague and I've been to Tuscany and I've been to London. It's a fascinating experience. It's a lot of fun. The first one I went to was Paris. I was scared to death. and that I was going to embarrass myself. And the night before, there's a dinner for the 12 students and Kelby and Mimo who helps him with it. And that dinner, Scott Kelby of all people sits across from me. And I go, "Are you serious?" At dinner. But you'll learn. I tell people you'll learn a lot about yourself. You'll learn a lot about your photography. You're probably better than you think you are. And you're going to have a wonderful time. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to have some fabulous money shots. But man, if you ever have the opportunity, you save up the money to take a Kelby one or a Scott Kelby workshop, man, it's just it will change your photography.
Yeah, he puts on some pretty good stuff. I've been with Kelby One since, God, it's got to be 15, 20 years now.
The man's
and,
incredible. I mean, I've watched,
Yep.
as I'm sure you have, Jeffrey. I've watched lots and lots and lots of instructors, but nobody can get right into my brain like Scott Kelby can.
Yeah,
And in the workshop, he's the same guy. He's the same guy. I've had friends that have gone to workshops with other guys and said, "Oh, he's a jerk." I mean, but Scott is gracious. Self-deprecating. He's genuinely interested in making sure you have a good time and learn something. The amount of planning those guys put into making sure you have a good time is astonishing. It's really astonishing.
yeah, yeah. I learned all my Photoshop and
Same here.
Lightroom skills
Same,
from him,
same
and
here.
his all his different. First, when he had him in person down in both Florida and
Yep.
Las Vegas, I was going there sometimes twice a year to learn. So yeah, I can't say enough about Scott Kelby and his stuff. So yeah,
That changed my photography. It changed the slim system on how I organize my photographs. His 7-point Lightroom system. I mean, that's my basic editing. Nobody has changed my photography like Scott Kelby.
yeah, yeah. Nope, he's a neat and interesting guy, and he came up with something years ago that just really took off and been fun to do. So, but thank you again.
Of course.
It's been a pleasure to have you here. Uh, I know the comments keep popping up here that everybody loved it. So
Well, send me
um,
questions. I mean, my address is mayorjones@utexas.edu. Mayor Jones or Jeffrey's got it, and
yep, and
send me questions, send me comments. I'd be delighted to respond and help in any way that I can.
yep, we'll put this all with we've got this on YouTube. I hope it's okay if we just keep it posted for
Of course.
people to see, and I'll make sure I get your contact information, and that way the people that sometimes can't make it today will watch
Sure.
it once I get it posted in the next
We're
day
just
or
trying
so.
to spread the word and the knowledge of
Yep.
photography, and we all know, photography is one of those things. The more you know, the less you know. It's just, it's more than we can
Yep.
possibly comprehend.
Yep. And that's what we're here for. We're here to answer people's questions. So that's what makes this fun. So again, thank you.
My
It's been a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Thank you,
And,
Jeffrey. And get in the water with your camera.
Yep. Yep. There's the thing. Even though the water's cold here in Wisconsin, but it's still worth it.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was a delight being here. I enjoyed it greatly. And again, if I can be of any assistance to you, please don't hesitate.
Great
Okay.
presentation. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
guys. Goodbye.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. You have a good
My
one.
pleasure.
Okay, guys, we'll go into Q&A. And the first one I got, which popped up early, is Mary Kranick wants to know. She needs help transferring from a Mac to a PC. Can anybody help her?
Mary, I could probably help you with that. If you mentioned that last week at the PSA meeting, do you want to set up a Zoom meeting and maybe see what I might be able to help you with it?
Yeah, it really you should be able to just take your catalog right from the Mac and copy it over to the PC. then it's just a matter of basically copying over your photos.
Or finding your
for-
folders if she's got
Yeah,
them on an
well,
external
they
hard
should
drive.
all be wherever she has it on her one computer, and then copy them over to the PC. So it should not be difficult. I would probably do it with a separate hard drive, like a, whatever size terabyte hard drive you'd need. Copy it off of your Mac onto a hard drive that's formatted for PC, and then move your Lightroom catalog at the same time over on that hard drive, and then just transfer it all over to your PC computer.
I think it shouldn't matter. I have a lot of my files on an external hard drive formatted on a PC, and I've accessed it from my Mac laptop, and I've not had any
Yeah, the
problems
Mac
with it.
can read a PC formatted drive. What's wrong is that if it's a Mac formatted drive, the PC can't read that.
Got it.
So you got to make sure that you transfer the files. The files are the same. It's just a matter of copying them over from one hard drive to the other. And the simplest to me would be to use an external hard drive. I'd actually keep your photos on an external hard drive and never even put them in the PC. You can get a 1 terabyte SSD drive from Costco for about under $100. And throw them all on there. What I end up doing is I keep a little I use it's Velcro, a type of Velcro, and I just Velcro that hard drive to the lid of my PC computer, and then just plug it in, and that way it's always with my PC, and that's how I go traveling. But that would be the same way with that. So Mary, hopefully that helps you. Otherwise, Drumma can help. If you can't connect with Drumma, let me know and I can do a Zoom with you and probably get it. I'm just not, I know enough about PCs to be dangerous. I'm not a PC fan. So
Yeah.
Mary says she'll
Jeff,
chat with you, Drumma.
I tried to send Mary a chat, but it won't allow me to send chats to the attendees.
It should.
It just lists the hosts and
You
the,
must have something
and
set
it
wrong
says-
there because
and
Eric tried to send me one, Jeff, and he couldn't send it to me either. So
I've got to check that attendees can chat with everybody.
well, they can. I can see everyone checked, but it doesn't list. For example, it doesn't list Mary there. It only lists the people that are on the panel.
Okay. Yeah, must. Oh, you can. Yeah. Well, I guess you could send it to everybody, and then it would go to everyone.
Right, but I couldn't send one specifically to Mary.
Yeah, I guess you can't send one direct to a single person. Yeah. But Mary says thanks, and she'll talk to you.
Yeah, I know in the past I was able to, email or text message someone in this, to
Yeah,
individual.
they keep changing and updating this stuff. I don't know why a person. I know I've got it set so that you can do it to everyone. I don't. Because that used to be a problem. So I guess you can send a chat to everybody, but not to a direct person. Although when I clicked it, because I could get to Jerry Hying and he's in the webinar chat.
But Jeff, you and I are the host and co-host, so I was able to direct chat you, but Eric, like I said, couldn't direct chat me earlier. He tried to.
Oh, okay. Huh. Well,
Unless we're
something
all
more to
using
figure
different
out.
versions, who knows?
There might be a new setting. They've got some new settings for chat that I'm going to have to check out. Because there is a bunch of new chat settings that they're working on, and it all depends if everybody's up to date on the latest Zoom. So
I know
this
last
stuff
time, Jeff, I was able to play tic-tac-toe with you guys. Remember?
Yeah.
I don't see that option now.
Yeah, some of that stuff can go away. Yeah, give me time to find where everything is. I usually figure it out. So, does anybody else have anything? Any questions, problems, comments?
I have a comment, if I may.
Sure.
Following up on underwater photography, I put something in chat. Don't know if anybody saw it, but on
Oh,
Disney
yeah, I was gonna.
Plus, Disney Plus has started a new series called Photographer, and it's under National Geo, within that Disney Plus. But the first episode featured Paul Nicklin, Nicklen, who is an underwater photography. He works for National Geo, he and his wife. And that's got some fascinating underwater photography together with his efforts in conservation. He was trying to highlight a new oil rig down in the Bahamas, I believe it was, to draw attention to how much danger that could do to the local waters.
Mm.
And, he's quite a conservationist and an amazing photographer. He's been with National Geo for years. So you might check that out if interested.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to look at that on Disney Plus.
It will then feature other photographers as well in other episodes.
Yeah,
Just called
Oh.
Photographer.
yeah,
Herb's got a
yeah,
question.
Hubert.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm not sure of the answer, but I thought I have a fairly decent speed mini Mac. It's a few years old, but it's ITEL chip, and I got 64 gig of RAM. And when I'm processing Topaz Photo AI, the other day I was playing with the photograph, and this is, of course, the raw file. I shoot Fuji, so it's between 45 and 55 megabytes. But it was taking 5-6 minutes for it to process.
Oof.
And I don't know if that's the subject of my computer or perhaps the external drive I have where all my photos are at. So.
Steve, I was running into that problem and I did a search, and basically they said, be sure to restart your computer. And after I did that, things sped up and it went really, really quick, on good sized files.
Just a restart?
Yeah, just do a restart on your computer. Try that.
Okay, I'll try that. Okay.
Yeah, that will clear out a lot of the memory leak that you get running all the different programs, especially if you run Photoshop or something like that. It can be a memory hog. I think Topaz Photo AI is getting set up now more for the M1 chips on the Mac than the Intel. The Intel will run slower, but
I haven't approached my spouse yet to get me a new Mini Mac M2 Pro, but I'm afraid to do that.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. And the way the new M's run, between the RAM and the memory, they're so fast that it's just crazy.
You think 32 gig of RAM with one of those machines is going to be enough?
Probably, as long as you get enough.
I don't do video, so.
Yeah, as long as if you're not doing video, and you got a big enough hard drive that you've got a lot of empty space on the hard drive that's built into that Mac, then it will run fine, because when it runs out of RAM, it goes to the SSD hard drive and uses that as RAM. So you need that space there so that it will then run. It runs like crazy because the transfer speeds on that SSD is so fast. It's just like using RAM itself. So, yeah, I'd go with 1 or 2 terabytes of solid state, hard drive in it. The more you can afford, the better. If you store your images off, which you should, stay away from the spinning drives these days, because that will also slow it down. What I ended up doing for my Lightroom stuff is I've got a separate SSD drive that runs super fast, and that's where I put all my work images. And then when I'm done working on them, for the most part, then I move them to a spinning drive that's more like an archival setup, so that
I was I was looking at those different processes. They call it what, NAS, or is that what they call it?
yeah, there's the there's the different little SSD drives that you can get. Yeah,
NAS too.
yeah,
Something like
NEV,
that.
something like that. Yeah, I forget the exact term, but even SanDisk or Lexor's SSDs, Costco has them for under $100, and the transfer rate is almost a gigabyte per second on those. They work really
What's the
well.
largest size you can get?
Right now I got
SSD?
about 6 terabytes of photo storage on
Yeah,
my drive. So
yeah. So you can get those up to about 4 terabyte. So you might have to get a couple. They get a little more expensive. I don't know what, you'd have to look around to see, who sells them for what. The 4 terabyte SanDisk, you have to watch a little bit. There was a problem with them, but I think they've got that problem fixed now.
Is that an internal or external drive?
External.
I've been really lucky with my spinning drives. I haven't had any issues over the years I've been using them. So, and I change them out about every 2 years. I would go get a new one and copy over. But maybe I just been lucky, but I haven't had any issues with the spinning drives other than the speed. I suppose that's the biggest issue.
That's the biggest issue that comes with the spinning drives, is they're a lot slower. They're more like 400 megabytes per second compared to a 1 gigabyte per second transfer speed.
All right.
For SSDs, depending on the SSD. Not all of them are that fast either. But
looks like I got to buy some flowers for my wife. So okay, all right. Got to do some bribing here.
Yeah, I can't get to the one that I've got here that I use, but it's a pretty small, lightweight drive, and I just Velcro 'em. Actually, I use 3M's. It's like a Velcro. It's just plastic though, and it snaps together. Works real nice for. I've got them hanging all over the place here.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
I had a question that I thought I was going to bring to the group, and it was I was creating a collection, and putting it out on the cloud, Adobe Cloud,
Okay.
Lightroom, and then I was trying to figure out how to sort all the photos by file name, because I wanted them for a certain photo group, to share them by file name, because that was important to just rather than helter skelter.
Sure.
And I found out you couldn't. There was no way unless somebody's got a way, but
Do you have a Mac or a PC?
PC.
Okay, when you're looking at the files in Explorer or looking at the folders,
Yeah.
when you're looking at the files on that bar across the top where you see name, date, file size, whatever, you click on that title or that, like file size or
Yeah, it's one of the sort options. It's one of the sort options. Yeah.
Yeah, and you click on it and it'll put it in date and time, lowest to highest. You click on it again, it'll do highest to lowest. And if you need more information like file size, once you have the time and date the way you want it, now you go to file size or file type. It'll then
you can sort on file name, Tony, which is I'm trying to do. Unfortunately, when you get up to the collection and you look at it in the cloud, it resorts.
Oh, so you're doing it inside of Lightroom or?
Yeah, I'm creating a collection within Lightroom. It's all sorted. And then I go up and I share it on I sync it with the cloud. And I go up to the cloud and then they're resorted.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at, yeah,
Yeah,
you can
sorry, I
sort
didn't hear the
in the,
Lightroom part.
yeah, you can sort in the collection. That's interesting though, that the cloud.
Yeah, resorts in the cloud, and I see no option on Adobe Cloud for sorting. There's no sort option up there.
Let's see if I can. Lightroom syncs. Oh, of course, that's collection isn't synced. Let me see. I'm just going to see if I can find something quick, but I dumped half I stopped syncing a lot of things. Yeah, that one's there. Can I get to it?
And my workaround was to put them up all in Zenfolio, and there I could sort them by name, by file name.
Hey Brian, when you actually check in your cloud, does it just throw the most recent folder or sync folder? How does that work?
Well, you have to sync each folder individually, and then you click on that folder name, and then you can say one of the options is you can make it public, and then you get a link to that public so other people can access it in the cloud. I use that quite a bit. That's my go-to way for sharing photos.
Okay.
In this case, it was for a photography group, and I had reasons to sort them by file name, but just couldn't find a way to do it, so I ended up doing it on
What was it
Zenfolio.
doing by date, by time and date?
Or was it just random?
To me, it looks random. I don't see any.
All right. I'm just looking here quick, and I'm not. Yeah. For me, it goes by date and time. Oh, okay. There is a in the cloud. Here, why don't I share? I
Yeah, check it online. It was more than one person said, "Well, we need to suggest that to Adobe as a
yeah, and it looks like you've got right down here. This is one of my sync files. This is at lightroom.adobe.com. And there's this little, I don't know what you'd call it. It's a weird little marking, but it brings it up as capture date, custom order, or reverse order.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what you could do with custom order.
I believe with custom order, you're able to move them around, but I don't. Okay,
that's too much work for what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to end up with hundreds of photos.
Yeah, the simplest would. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the best that it does really, I don't get how the custom order works.
Yeah, I don't either. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, that kind of sucks that you can't put it in, order that you kind of want, let's say by name.
Right. Jeff, when you had highlighted that one, there was a move to up, click on, no, move to.
Yeah, I can move it to a different album or.
Oh, okay.
It
Not
looks
within
like
the collection. Okay.
No, but you should be able to. You would think if it's custom order. Now, this is the same order. What do I have it in Lightroom? Well, I've got it on reverse order there. I've got it on capture time. But if I take it if I go to file name, it's not gonna update it. Oh, I gotta close that part. Yeah, I don't know how the custom order ends up working.
Yeah.
I haven't fooled with that. Yeah, it really, yeah, it only
I just renewed Zenfolio, so it works out nicely there, and you can sort them by file names. That's the
yeah.
way I'm dealing with it.
No,
It'd be nice if Lightroom did that, or Adobe did that.
Up in the upper right corner there, Jeff, where it says click here for best photos. What other options do you have under those three dots?
Yeah, I was gonna take a look at see if Lightroom there is more that you could do with Lightroom.
Yeah, they don't have it either from the comments I read.
Okay. Yeah, because it looks like they have the same. Well, no, they have.
Oh, there you go. File name, file name.
So I wonder if you could do it in Lightroom under that same album, because those albums would be, in there.
Well, try it on an album. Pick an album.
All right. Well, I'll just pick 20. That's not it.
Yeah, what, you might have to pick more than one album too?
So if I go file name, let's see, if I go to grid, so you've got file name, which that goes to the name, or you go to capture time, which changes the order. Now the trick would be, okay, so yeah, so if I go with file name here, now this is 2023 images. Let's see if, all right, gotta find. Trick is finding that same album. I've got too many albums here.
It's the third one down there, Jeff. Or fourth one down, I guess, there.
Yeah. All right, that really looks like it's the same. Let me bring that back. Yeah. All right. So let's try this now. If we go to, say, reverse order so that it really changes it. You think it changed it in the online one? Wonder how you get it to update.
Refresh your screen. Refresh the browser.
Yeah, that would be.
Nope.
No. Well, that would have been the easy way to do it, is just go into Lightroom and change it, but I guess it doesn't.
What happens when you go down to the three eclipses right down there at the bottom again? See if that pops up another. Oh no, it just gives you those stupid three.
No, it just for some reason the web version of Lightroom only gives you 3 settings. Yeah,
no, that sucks completely.
Yeah.
Like I said, Jeff, what's under those those three dots for options? I mean, other than it says click here for best photos, are there other options available there?
You can start a slideshow, choose your best photos. Not sure what that is. Send to portfolio.
Guide to display view.
Yeah, that doesn't.
But down there in the bottom where you got appearance, is there what's in the up arrow there? To the far right.
Show
There you
title,
go.
author.
Reorder by.
Yeah.
File name.
Well, there you have. You can change it. So if I go to file name,
What does Marty know? He doesn't even use Lightroom.
Yeah. Well, that might be the way that it would show up if you sent out that link to this portfolio. Because you do have,
You're still in the cloud there, right, Jeff?
Yeah, he's in Adobe Cloud.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in the cloud.
Does that seem to work,
Not-
Brian?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to change it, say, in Lightroom. So Lightroom sees it as a separate.
No, but it sounded like Brian was trying to do that in the cloud, right, Brian?
Yeah. Well, maybe, Brian, it might be going to this best images thing.
Well, for various reasons, it's like what my need is more complicated. Actually, it works out for various reasons in Zenfolio much better. I
Yeah.
mean, there I can create a top level collection or a gallery, and then, or I guess it's a collection, I forget what they call it. And then under that, I can have subfolders. So like I want to have group 1, group 2, group 3, I want a folder for each one. And you can't do subfolders within albums.
No. The best
You
way
can
to end up
within, you
doing
can
that
within
would,
Lightroom collections, but so it's,
well, you know,
anyway,
where
it's
you
just working
could,
out good in Zenfolio, but I appreciate
yeah,
that.
Zenfolio is probably simpler. The other would be to do it in Portfolio, but that's its own website, and then you can reorganize it.
Somebody's got their whiteboard going.
Clint is playing with the whiteboard again. Soon I'm going to be knocking Clint out.
I'm just trying to highlight some stuff. That's all.
Yeah. But yeah, you're probably best off with Zenfolio for doing that complicated of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have like 21 subfolders, and this is for the PSA Wisconsin Challenge Group.
Oh, okay.
Sound familiar, Steve? Tony's got his
yeah.
hand up, reaching
Yeah.
for the cloud.
Yeah,
or
Tony.
something.
A couple of months we took a little vacation, and excuse me.
He's all
And,
about it.
And when I copied the images off my camera into using Canon's program, some of them, the capture date was August of 23. And Harvey, just a few of them, and the rest of them had the right dates. Does anyone have any idea why the capture date would be August of 23?
I use that program, Tony. I should look at. I just downloaded some today. I should look and see what it showed. And it was all from one camera.
Yes.
Okay,
That's weird.
that is weird.
Yeah, well, Brian, I think your best bet, is to do it the way you're doing it in Zenfolio. I could see you need to post this in a website type environment.
Well, you get a link for it, then you can I can share the link with other members of the group.
Right.
So, yeah, that's cool.
Because the other would be to use Portfolio and set up a simple Portfolio website with all the different folders.
Well, I'm paying Zenfolio, so it's easy there. I just
If
gave
you've
more
got
money.
Zenfolio and you've got it worked out, that's the way I would probably end up doing it.
Yeah.
I
Just thought
would do it right.
So put
right
the
on my
question out
website.
there. Thanks for the conversation. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No problem. So you can stop share. I got Eric Nelson is asking any recommendations on print services. I'd like to make a photographic book, hardcover, softcover type. I'm planning on making a memory book for his mom as she needs help in remembering events. I use Blurb
Just gonna say
I create
blurb.
my books, and I create the books right in Lightroom using the book module. If you're using Lightroom, that works easy because then once you create it in Lightroom, you can send it right to Blurb, and then they can print out however many, either soft or hardcover. And
Do
they're
they have
pretty
choice of
reasonable.
papers? It's been a while. A lot of these.
Yeah,
outlets
they've
have
got a
of
choice.
papers.
They do have a choice of. Let's see, I got to get to it here.
Ian made several books over the several years, and that he had some really fantastic books, hardcovers, almost magazine type.
Yeah, these days, in the okay, well, and okay, so he doesn't use Lightroom, so
You can
but
do it right in Blurb though, Jeff.
you can do it right in Blurb. Has their own app for laying out the pages.
Yeah, they've got templates.
And templates and the whole works. You can also do it in InDesign if you wanted to use a design program. But for
Mixbook does good books too.
yeah, Blurb has Luster Bant, Proline Uncoated, Proline Pearl Photo, a standard paper, and then they also make a standard lay flat that you can do in Lightroom. So
Yeah, those are good quality books. Yeah.
yeah, I've done probably 15 or 20 books in Lightroom. I've actually switched to using InDesign because for a while I couldn't get my Lightroom module to work right. And then they suggested, well, use their template app, and I didn't like how their app worked. So I ended up going and doing it. They have a plug-in for InDesign that lets you lay it out just like you would a regular book, and just gives you standard sizes. And I did that for my last book, and it worked out just great. Gives me more control because then I didn't need templates. I could lay it out just the way I wanted to.
Nice.
Which was nice. So
Nice.
I'm going to that way from now on, but it's definitely more work because it's like creating a book from scratch with no help. But so any other questions, comments, ideas? We've got Bill Brennan said Costco external 4 terabyte hard SSD drive is $240, and it's 1,050 megabyte read and 1,000 megabyte write, which is 1 terabyte read and write. So that's not too shabby. 4 terabytes for $240. SSDs are getting pretty inexpensive.
I was able to help Brian with that file name thing by going to selecting the palette underneath the album there. Did you know where you have a choice of how you want to what way you want to show your photos?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question. You talking to me, Ken?
Well, why don't I share a screen for a second?
Sure, go ahead, Ken.
So can you see my my photos here?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
See down here at the bottom, one of the things is it looks like a palette, but it says display. When you click on that, well, you see that it got a little window showing up here. You make it larger, and then you got sort. You can sort by capture date, and notice how the pictures moved. And then I can go back here and I can also select file name and sort by file name.
Oh.
think that's the same menu that came up when we were under the three dots, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like there's like 2, 3 spots you can get at it.
Yeah, but there's more options here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that'll help you, Brian, or not.
Well, I think Brian, like Brian was saying though, his biggest issue is he's got to have like the main folder and then subfolders because of the 21 categories. So you aren't going to be able to do that within this. I think he's right about what he was saying.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for that photo challenge, for what having to show all the different things, I think I ended up doing it on my website when I did it for the group, because it was easier, yeah, on a website and just send them to the different sections.
So Brian, are you going to have them like rate the pictures in those albums then, so that you kind of have an idea which images?
Well, I think we're going to do that in a poll unit. So at some point, we hadn't gotten that far.
Yeah, like I said, that's the other option. You can create 21 poll units and put all the images in, then you can rate them right away. Saves part of your work.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that and TBD. Thanks.
Yeah. Interesting.
Hey Jeff, I put a link in for the another place that Ian used for doing books in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of places for books. Oh yeah, Printique. Bay Photo in California can do books. Not quite as complicated as what Blurb and some of the others can. If you're looking for a local place, there's also Allied Digital Photo in Germantown, Wisconsin can do it as well. But that, I think for where you're at, I'm not sure how far away that is. Although you can send it to them electronically and do it all that way too. So
Jeff, I was just digging for, there are several of the photography YouTubers that have recommended a company recently, and I couldn't remember the name, and I was just digging for it. Nigel Danson has a video where he's talking about the books that he makes and the company that he uses, and it's called Sol Digital. I'll put a link to his video where he's talking about that in the chat. In case someone wants to go and dig a little bit. He talks about making books on that video and the work that he's had done with that company in case anyone's interested.
yeah.
Another company comes to mind too is Adorama. Adorama, I think, has a whole, they used to anyway, I think kind of had a whole division that did books. I don't know if they still have that or not. I used to see them promoted.
I had good luck with Shutterfly.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes they have 50% off sales, so watch for those.
Yeah. Yeah, and the same with Blurb. If you watch, they run anywhere from 20 to 30, 40% off at different times of the year. So if you keep an eye out for it, you can get some good discounts from Blurb. That's the one that I'm familiar with since I use it. But, yeah, Tony.
I may have asked this before, I don't remember, but I have some documents that are like real estate titles, stuff that are longer than a normal scanner. And I cannot find a place that will scan them. I think I called Allied Digital and they said $12 a sheet. Well, I have probably 50, 60 sheets, so I don't want to do that.
How wide are the documents, Tony? So they're long, so how wide are they?
8.5.
So you should be able to use your sheet feeder on your scanner and sheet feed them through and scan them that way.
Yeah.
Well, they're longer than the bed of the.
Oh, no.
He doesn't have a sheet feed
No,
scanner.
no.
He has a flatbed.
Yes.
So
Tony,
You
have
either
you
could
tried
pick-
like an Office Max or Office Depot?
They don't do it.
Well, they
yeah,
used to do that.
Yeah, well, when I talked to them, they wanted to sell me a scanner and they said they don't do scanning anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, the Epson 680 would scan those very nicely. You can do
Which-
8.5 wide any length.
Which,
Then you have to pay about $500 for it, or I don't know how
oh,
much
yeah.
it costs these days.
That's for just a few, that amount of sheets,
How many sheets do you have, Tony?
I'd say around 50.
Yeah, this would still be awfully expensive. Epson also makes a little portable scanner. I use it in my upstairs office because I've gone all digital for my office, and it's a single feed sheet. I think, God, what did let me see if I could find it quick. I think it was like $150, but it really does single page stuff, and it turns it right into a PDF. Let me see if I can find it quick. It's similar to what Brian's talking about, because I have one of those as well, and you can get them from Office Max. It's an EN something. It really was designed for receipt copying. Here. Come on, guys. I force you to go through all this different stuff just to find. Yeah, it's called a mobile scanner. And, well, of course, they don't. On the page that I'm on.
Tony, UPS does scanning too.
They do.
The
Okay.
UPS stores.
Okay.
Oh, that
You
might
might
be a
want to
way.
give them a call because when I went to their website, they said, call us on what size, to learn what sizes we can scan.
Okay.
You know, and
So-
then 8.5 by 14, which is probably what you're talking about, is a fairly common legal size paper. You'd think there'd be a lot of people that could scan those.
Yeah, well, uh, not even my daughter knows of the scanner, and she's um, a vice president of a mortgage company.
Well, the Epson 680 will do it, Tony. You're just not willing to pay the price for $500.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, here, this is a scanner I've got. It's a DS70. It's a portable document scanner, but it scans up to 8.5 wide by however long. I've had stuff that was, I've had receipts that are 14, 15 inches long, even longer. I mean, you're talking $120, but it's great for a quick scan.
Yeah, that's
It's
more,
small.
that's more my price range.
Yeah.
You can
So
sell it
that's
to
why I was thinking
for work.
it's, not super expensive. And it's got a lot of nice uses for at home for when you need to scan something to send to somebody. I mean, it's only, God, not even 2 inches wide by about 1.5 inches tall by about 10 inches wide, and it just plugs straight into a USB port. And you just use the standard Epson scanning software. And I use it, I've pretty much gotten rid of my file cabinet, and all my papers that I get in, I just run through that scanner and store on my computer.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm
That
scanning.
is motorized. It's a motorized feed, Jeff, right?
yeah, it's a motorized feed. So you just feed
Nice.
it in and it just brings it right through.
Okay. Well,
It's
thank
it's
you.
a single copy thing, so it takes time, but
That's
for
not the problem. Is time. It's
yeah.
just getting the length.
Yeah, because I think you would spend this much or more probably at the UPS store scanning depending what they charge to scan.
Yeah.
But this might be, and you can get this at an Office Max, Office Depot, or even Best Buy. I think I bought mine at Best Buy's.
Yeah. Okay,
Or
well,
you can get
thank
it
you. That will
right from
solve,
Epson.
that will solve a big problem I had.
Yeah.
And on the topic of
Hi,
Epson,
guys. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
okay.
Okay, we'll see you,
Hi,
Brian.
Brian.
Take care.
We've had
I have to go too. See you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
See you,
everybody.
Joe. Thanks.
The Epson 3850 tank printer that I have, we've had that for 2.5 years now. And of the tanks, only this much ink has been used out of them.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
we're printing more now than we used to, but and we leave it on all the time. Just so, if we want to print some, because it's down in the basement in a den, and you don't want to go down
Yeah.
and turn it on and wait. So it's something I am very pleased with. It costs more, but the ink that came with it filled up each tank, and having used only 3/8 of an inch or something out of a 3-inch tube,
Yeah.
really good. So thank you.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. I use laser printers because they never dry out. But
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. At least they don't get plugged up in that.
yeah, but those scanners seem to be pretty popular these days. So, well, I think we'll call it quits. It's a little after 12, so
Lunchtime.
yep, lunchtime for everybody. So I hope everybody enjoyed today's talk with Kelly. It was great that he could come and do that. Something a little different for us. So if
Yeah,
next
I
time
liked
you're
it.
down to Florida or the Bahamas, think about going diving.
It was definitely enjoyable. There was a lot of knowledge there.
Yeah, yeah. He was really a nice guy when I talked to him on the phone. It was worked out pretty well. And I had just seen his thing on Kelby One. So, and I will recommend, Kelby One has not gotten inexpensive. It's now up to, I think, $200 a year. But he has tons of great videos. I'm fortunate I've been connected with him so long that I'm grandfathered in at the $99 a year, which is great. But Kelby also has a Lightroom seminars coming up in about a month. So if you're looking for a great way to learn Lightroom better, take that class that's coming. So, but other than that, we got some good speakers coming up in the next 2 months. So we'll see everybody at the end of April.
All right.
Good.
Thanks
Have
a
a
lot.
good one.